Hi everyone, welcome back to The Learning Gardener. Today we're going to be going around and getting whatever we can done, trying to make spring more productive. All of a sudden the cool season crops like the broccoli have kind of burnt out and we need to replace them. I had planted seeds in anticipation of this moment and they all got drowned in our hideous rain that is also making most of the potatoes look yellow and pretty sad. But we are going to be first up dealing with this garden bed, which has been exposed to the sun for a little longer than I'd like, but I had to pick up some more mulch to cover it on the top with. And this has historically been potato bed, not pumpkin bed, a loofah bed, flower bed, tomatoes, mostly tomatoes and potatoes. So it is going to have a rest from the nightshade family, and it is going to be a dahlia bed. So I'm just going to kind of work in the fertilizer, which I just popped in, and get rid of the weeds. At the end of the bed, at the bottom of the arbor, we've got some climbing beans, which will hopefully have some time to turn into something before it gets too hot, although I'm not all that hopeful. All of our beans this year have ended up either looking all fungally and disgusting because of the rain, or they have died because of the rain, or been beaten up in the wind, and it's already very hot. So, you know, I don't know how long these beans have, but sweet peas are still going well. Most of them haven't bloomed yet, but we'll get there. But so what I'm going to do is, I'm terrible at staking things mid-season. One of the other things we need to do is stake the asparagus, which is something I meant to do before it emerged, but it emerged a month earlier than normal. It should only have come out like 2 weeks ago. Because I'm terrible at staking things, and once they get going I'm sort of a bit like, whatever, leave it to it. I'm going to kind of create like a stake system around this bed, and then I guess it's a little bit like a weird version of the Florida weave, and basically just create a container so that it holds the dahlias in as they emerge. Hopefully that works. If not, we'll try something again next season, but we've got to do something. So soil works first, and then we've got all the dahlias, which I divided this morning. Now, I didn't show you the process of dividing the dahlias because I am not confident in how to do it. I usually watch Laura from Garden Answer. This year I was like, come on, we've seen that video now like 4 times, you can have a crack. And because I left the dahlias quite a long time before actually getting around to dividing them, a couple of them I could actually see the eye forming on the center part, which is always where things come undone for me. I never know where that is, and so I never know where to make the cut. And her dahlia tubers seem to grow very in an organized way that's easy for dividing. Mine tend to just look like a massive clump and are super hard to divide. Either that or my skill is 0, possibly a bit of both. But that, being able to see the eye made life a little bit easier, but it wasn't still the easiest of processes. A lot of them had actually gone squishy, so we don't have as many as I would hope for. My favorite dahlia that I know we still have is the Black Embers dahlia, but we only have like, I think 1, 2, maybe 3 of those tubers, so I was very scared to divide it and turn one into 2. So hopefully at least one survives so that we can try again dividing it next year. But I've got this ground already, and now it's time to plant these dahlias. Last year I actually transplanted a peony into this corner, which nothing ever came of it. But we do still actually have an orange dahlia in this corner that I completely forgot about digging up. But most of these other dahlias came from another bed, and so we're going to start with the black ember dahlias because I want them to kind of be front and center. Like this this garden bed is very, very visible from the house, and so I want it to be just a massive pop of color with the most impressive flowers. And last year the black embers dahlia started out with just the huge dinner plate style blooms, and they were just so beautiful. It's like a really, really deep red purple, and absolutely divine. And then I had another black embers tuber that never actually bloomed, and it was because all of my tubers mostly last year were in where the garlic is now behind me, because I was going to have like Dahlia Alley, but it just got shaded out by the neighbor's bamboo hanging over the fence and by all the tomatoes and stuff in front of it, which should be fine for the garlic because before these get big enough the garlic will come out, and then this is where I plan to grow all of my like leafy greens and things that need a little reprieve from the Australian heat. So just adjusting each season, but I don't know whether anything will actually come of this tuber. I thought I'm not going to divide it, we'll just see what happens with it. In terms of new plants coming into the arrangement, we've got a coral charm peony that needs to go in, so I'm going to pop it in the front too, and we have got a Carlos watermelon dahlia tuber. So we're going to try and get the dogs out of the garden bed, famous last words, and try and get the plants into the garden bed. we've got this bed all planted and mulched up, and I thought I'd better put the first layer of structural support in. I thought if I don't do it now, in all likelihood we'll end up with a hound in the bed, and we'll probably end up with that anyway. But I thought I'll probably just forget, and then I'll leave it, and then, you know, it'll be unstaked once again. So yeah, exactly. So 2 hounds in the bed, great, wonderful. At least we've discovered this does nothing to keep the dogs out. But hopefully by the time the dahlias grow up, it will provide some support, and then they can hopefully grow up and kind of provide some support to each other, because there'll be hopefully a massive group of them, although some of the tubers broke apart as I was planting them, which is, you know, always great. But yeah, we'll see how we go. We've still got actually a stack of tubers left, so that is not how I thought this was going to turn out. I thought we were going to have heaps of empty space, but we've got an array of dahlias. Some I know the variety, some I don't, just scattered through this garden bed, and the 2 peonies, one of which is probably dead, right up the front. So, and we also have, right where Rafa's back legs are, 1 gladioli bulb. So hopefully this will be a gorgeous bed full of colour, and at the very least, if I forget to come in and do any more staking, at least it's got a little bit of support. But I've just seen all the grubs I collected for the chickens, have made a break for it, so I'm going to look for them and try and get them into the chickens, and then we're on to the next task. The next garden bed we've got to sort out is this asparagus one. The asparagus has actually started splitting because it's so top heavy, so I'm just going to cut those ones off as best I can. Some of them are pretty thick, and get rid of them because I don't want to lose my hat. I don't want any diseases getting into the asparagus because of the split branches. And we just have weeny teeny baby asparagus popping up everywhere, so we'll pull those. And I'm hoping that this is going to be like a permanent solution for this garden bed, and that I can just leave it in place forever and ever, because supporting the asparagus is a permanent problem. I reckon this one's salvageable. I don't want to cut them all off. This is the 3rd season this asparagus has had. So we harvested some last year because when I planted it, I think they were 2 or 3 years old already, the ones that I'd bought, because you can't harvest fresh asparagus, fresh year 1 asparagus. So we were able to harvest about 30%-ish last year, and I'll probably keep it the same. I think they emerged early because I put a whole heap of autumn leaves covered in chicken poo from the chicken run in here, and I think that just heated up the soil really early on in the year and made it so they emerged. But some of these stalks are just so thick. It's obviously happy where it is, even though it's like the chicken poo leaves are the first time it's been fertilized since I put it in, on the first time any compost has been added or anything. So usually this turns into like a beyond bushy mess. So first year I think I had some tomatoes here, and last year I didn't get anything in because it all just turned into a mess. So I thought, seeing we've got some extra dahlias, I might dump them in here. If they do okay with the chicken poo leaves that are in the process of beginning to break down, well then they do okay. If they don't, oh well. And we'll just kind of create like the same sort of suspension situation that we just had in the other bed, and hopefully we don't accidentally stab anything with the star picket posts. But again, oh well, we need to have a more permanent solution than what we've used in years gone by, because what we've previously used was absolutely useless, and I would like to be able to move around through here, and I would like to be able to use the other half of the bed and not have it just drowning in asparagus. So I'm going to pull out the little asparagus as we go. We're going to plant some dahlias, get these guys held up a bit more. we'll see how this goes. We managed to fit all the rest of the dahlias in here. This could be tighter, but it probably would have been easier to put on before the asparagus was already like in play. So yeah, I'm trying not to break the asparagus, but I mean, at the very least this should do a better job of maintaining the beast than what we used last year, which was wildly inadequate tomato cage panels. So we'll just see how it goes, and if it doesn't work then we'll adjust next year. But at least the star picket post can stay in and be the base for whatever we end up using to contain the asparagus. But at least that's sorted, at least all the dahlias are planted. So now we just have one other big job to do today. Seeing we've got the mallet and all the star picket posts and the tree support tie out already, we are going to deal with the mess of these privacy hedges. So we've already done the other pittosporums up near the house, but these ones, oh god, these ones I did like an emergency support after we had well over 100km/h winds, and they were literally like blown over here. And I would say most of them I pulled a wee bit too far back this way, and you probably can't even tell on the screen, but they're slightly sideways. So if we look at this one, it should be more like, I can't even straighten it up, it should be over here. So, and it's over here. So it's a slight problem to have slanted trees. So we're gonna try and fix that up. Probably not today, but at some point, ideally really soon, we need to get in the back here and weed as well. I might grab some while I'm in there doing stuff, but the mallow, the dreaded mallow weed that has turned up out of nowhere this winter and destroyed a strawberry bed, has started to infiltrate here. So, you know, so much for you plant thick ground cover and it suppresses the weeds. It does not. They just come up in between it. So, dirty lies. So what we're going to do is straighten these up. Hopefully we will not get bitten by ticks, because I have been bitten twice in the last week. It's the first time I've really been bitten on this property since we moved in, and I just think it's because of all the rain. What is interesting that I have not noticed on these in previous seasons is that they have some really dark purple flowers on it, which is quite interesting. And I haven't seen it on the other ones because I hedged those, but I thought this might end up like even more of a dog's breakfast if I tried to hedge the trees while they're tipped. So we're going to fix the Leaning Tower of Pisa-ness, and then at some point I'll have to borrow my dad's hedger and straighten them up. And the other thing we're going to have to do, other than weeding and potentially just smothering everything with newspaper to kill the mallow, is we're going to have to, well, I'm not going to probably add any more soil because of the stupid mallow, but the blackbirds dug up the root system through here all of last autumn, which was really annoying. But so the pittosporums, the roots are all exposed. So at the very least, I'm going to chuck some mulch on here, but I was planning on putting more soil on, but I don't really want to encourage the mallow to like live its best life. I want to smother it and then smother it again. So yeah, we're going to start dealing with this mess. But I'm quite intrigued by these little black flowers. Interesting.
Sleep now, baby, time. Where do you go when you fall asleep at night? Is it a place in outer space where only little babies go? Rest now, easy child. See you in a little while, crocodile, when you return from the land where only little babies know. At the bottom of the ocean or high up in the sky, at the top of a so mountain round the world, far and wide. Neither north and south or east and west are the directions you will find. Where heaven and earth collide. Only sweet dreams at night. No more nightmares between the sunset and the sunrise. Sing your bedtime lullaby. When you lay down your head on the bed and say, I love you and good night. Good night. At the bottom of
So we are done, and I am over it. And they're not straight, but they're as good as I can get. A lot of them, the actual trunks now, because there's been so many flawed emergency support systems, actually have curvy trunks. Whatever. This one actually needs to get pulled back a little bit, but I only have so many stakes, and there's still a lot of projects that actually need stakes, so I don't really want to use another one on this one. I had a little stake and it's kind of being ineffective behind the tree, but you know, it's trying. But at least it's a bit more stable. As I'm going through here, I am not sure how I'm going to get the mallow out. Even if I like newspapered and everything, because it's coming up in between the lamium, unless I kill the lamium, and even then, like, I just feel like, you know, when there's certain weeds and you're just like, okay, you got me. So I feel like it's a bit of a diabolical situation, but you know what? It's a diabolical situation for another day. I am not dealing with it now. I think my arm is very close to no longer working. I hate that mallet, but it gets the job done. So hopefully these will be okay. I've been a little bit lucky because normally our spring winds in this area come sort of late August, early September, and we're midway through September and we had one really, really, really windy week. And then nothing. So fingers crossed we have passed the worst of the windy season, because these guys kind of stood the test of time. They're root balls though. They're like barely in the ground. Anyway, problem for another day. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video.